This is the Project Management Podcast. We bring project management to beginners and experts. Find us on the web at pm-podcast.com or send your emails to info@pm-podcast.com. Hello and welcome to episode number 142. I am Cornelius Fichtner. This is the Project Management Podcast for the 19th of March 2010. Nice to have you with us. In episode 140, I spoke with Jerry Manis on how to manage complexity on projects. We first discussed his general approach, and then later on in the premiere episode, we looked at a case study and learned how Jerry actually does it. We saw here how he uses simplicity, clarity, and focus, not just in theory, but on his projects. But Jerry isn't the only project manager out there who feels that we need more simplicity. Sean Enriquez feels exactly the same way. In fact, he feels so strongly about it that he went ahead and he wrote the PM Simplicity Guide at pmsimplicity.com, and he makes it available to everyone for free. Sean and I discuss the concepts and philosophies behind PM Simplicity and how you apply it on your projects in today's episode. This episode is sponsored by the 7th Annual Project Management Conference for the Drug and Device Industry. The conference takes place from April 12th to 14th, 2010 at the Orlando World Center Marriott Resort and Convention Center in Orlando, Florida. Learn about cutting-edge tools and techniques to help you lead your team confidently and walk away with clear strategies for achieving project, program, and portfolio success. To learn more, please visit iirusa.com/PDD. And here is an announcement that will interest you if you are a PMP or a PGMP, because you can win 21 PDUs for free. On April 2nd, 2010, we are going to launch the PDU podcast. And the website for this is pducast.com. That's pducast.com. In this new podcast, I welcome world-class speakers and their full-length feature presentations on project management topics. Each month, we have a new presenter, a new topic, and as a subscriber of the PDU podcast, you will earn at least 1 PDU month after month, fully automatically and reliably. And because you already know how to use a podcast, well, after all, you're listening to this one here, earning you PDUs with the PDU podcast now becomes extremely simple. Today, we are giving away 2 one-year subscriptions to the PDU podcast. And in the first year, we actually have 21 PDUs that you can earn through that particular podcast. As always, one of these 2 licenses is reserved for the subscribers of the Premium Project Management Podcast. They're automatically entered into this drawing. And the other license is for anyone who is listening for free. So, if you would like to try and win a license, then simply send an email to info@pm-podcast.com. That's info@pm-podcast.com. And don't forget that dash, that's important. Put free into the subject line and send that email off before March 31st, 2010. We will announce the lucky winners here on this program. And now, the interview. Sean Enriquez is a PMI certified project manager that comes equipped with an MBA in industrial and organizational psychology. He organizes information and people in building solutions. He's also a collaborative technologist with over 15 years of experience in the entertainment and media, finance, consumer products, and education verticals. As a project leader, his biggest skills are in the areas of project management, business process re-engineering, process mapping, as well as software development and implementation. Enjoy the interview.
The Project Management Podcast's feature interview. Today with Sean Enriquez, author of the PM Simplicity Method.
Hello, Sean, and welcome to the Project Management Podcast.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, very happy to have you. Thank you very much for coming on such a short notice for most of all. Let me begin with the first question here. We want to talk about PM simplicity, project management simplicity. What is PM simplicity?
Well, basically, it's a distillation of the tools and techniques that I've identified over the years that were useful in delivering projects with a minimum of fuss and a minimum of complexity.
Okay, and why did you develop it?
Well, I wanted it to be consistent in how I delivered projects, and also I wanted to be consistent in how I coached other project managers. One of the things that was happening was I was getting tapped to coach other project managers, and I wanted to be more consistent in how I coached them as well. So that's basically what I wanted to do, was jot down some of the key deliverables when you would need them and some of the watchouts that you want to avoid when working on your projects.
Okay. And you said, I wanted to be consistent. That meant that at the company that you were working, they didn't have a project management methodology and you basically developed your own. Is that what I'm hearing?
Basically, yeah. That's basically it. Yeah. I mean, I've worked in, I've had the good fortune of working in different companies, and obviously you'll get experiences, different realities, let's say. So in this particular company, there was a huge gap. They had a real need for some standardization in how projects were being delivered, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Okay. Who is PM Simplicity for?
I'd say it's for basically your audience, people that are interested in pursuing the PMP credential, and they may or may not be project managers today, but they want to get that credential, and they want to make sure that they're delivering the right things for their projects, not over-delivering.
What about somebody who is already a PMP?
I think somebody who's already a PMP might get some benefit, but to be honest, the PMP is such a rigorous and comprehensive exam that you're probably not going to learn a whole lot new from me, other than the fact that I'm pretty good at explaining technical concepts to non-technical people. So it might help them understand something that wasn't clear in the past.
You mentioned benefits. So what kind of benefits do I as a project manager get if I follow the PM Simplicity model?
I think you'll get a few benefits. One of them is you get some sample documentation, things like a sample risk management plan, sample communication plan, things like that. The other thing you get is a lot of I'll call them old war stories. I've been involved in a number of projects over the years, and you start to see patterns, you start to see traps that present themselves, and I think a reader might gain some benefit from my mistakes.
Okay, so what feedback have you received from other project managers who have followed this methodology?
Well, the people that I was coaching found it beneficial. I got positive feedback from them. I actually just put it out there, on the web to share with people just a few weeks ago. So I'm keen on getting feedback from folks that are downloading it and reading it and hearing about their experiences as well. And I consider this document a work in progress, 1.0. So it's definitely going to be updated as I hear things from readers and hear things that I can add and change.
How long has it taken you to develop it?
That's a good question. It's not a very long document, but it actually took me quite a while because I was working on it on and off in between being a foster parent. So this was a labor of love, as it were. I would say it took a good few months to get it out.
Okay. You said that this is something that my audience, and you especially mentioned those people who are preparing for the PMP exam. Obviously, not everybody who is listening to the Project Management Podcast does that, but let's stay with those who want to prepare for the PMP exam, that they would be a target audience for this. Much of the PMP exam is based on the PMBOK guide. So how strongly does your PM Simplicity method rely on the PMBOK guide then?
I'd say there's a good amount of overlap. It's not that I'm trying to re-explain the PMBOK. It is what it is. But I definitely lean on the PMBOK for the phases and kind of understanding how to dissect a project into more manageable parts. And from there, I kind of explain the different deliverables and how to make sure that they're used effectively. I think the PMBOK approaches things very academically, and that's fine. But there's not a lot of real world experience within that document, and that's really what I'm trying to give as the value add.
Mhm. And let's also look at the difference in size here, because the PMBOK guide, somewhere around 400 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, the PM Simplicity document that I read, 8, 9 pages, something like that.
Tiny font, but yeah, it's pretty. You had a guest recently, Jerry Manis, and
Yes.
his talk was on managing complexity. And I have to say, when I heard him speak, it really rung true to me. The more you work on projects, the more you realize that complexity for its own sake is just a real trap. And trying to over deliver and trying to add more features to things, trying to gild the lily, just create more problems. So if you can really focus things down and get things down to the essence and make sure that everybody's on board with what you're working on, you'll definitely get more projects to work on.
Right. Now, the basic principles, and I have to cheat here. I'm going back to the website here, since you mentioned Jerry Manis. The basic principles that Jerry had in his approach were simplicity, clarity, and focus. This is what he said is important. So let's take a look at PM Simplicity. So simplicity is already in the name.
I was really struck when I heard him say those words because, as I said,
are those also the basic principles that you rely on?
I would say yes, absolutely. The simplicity is basically not trying to do everything that the PMBOK gives you. I mean, the PMBOK basically tries to detail all of the moving parts of basically every type of project you're going to encounter, which is overkill. Really, it's a Swiss Army knife. You've got to
many cases.
You've got to take the right pieces and apply them as needed. And so definitely, I would say that part is simplicity is definitely a core value. Then you have the clarity, and I speak to communication. I mean, that's crucial. Communicating with people, not getting buried in creating a document that wows everybody, but rather communicating with people, hearing the different stakeholders, making sure that they're accounted for, making sure that everybody's on the same page. So that way there are no surprises. I think the interpersonal communication is a big part of that. And PMBOK doesn't really talk about things like Dale Carnegie, let's say, where there's a whole lot of there's a good body of knowledge out there on how to improve your effectiveness as a communicator. And if you're a good communicator, then you're going to be clear in how you're communicating. So I would say the clarity is definitely another core value here. And then the focus piece, absolutely. The less complex your final product is, the more focused it's going to be. I think there's a big movement now on the web. Less is more. And you're starting to see websites that are stripped down. There's a reason for that, because just because our systems are able to handle these huge programs and applications that do A, B, and C, and everything else in between, it's overkill. People just need what they need to do their jobs and then to move on.
Okay, so we have simplicity, clarity, and focus. So you're in alignment there with what Jerry Manis said. That was episode 140, by the way, for anyone who would like to go back to take a look at that. Is there anything beyond simplicity, clarity, and focus that you'd say, this is also part of PM Simplicity that I think is unique to my approach?
Well, I'd say there's a personal development angle. I don't know if that's the right word or the right term to describe it, but as I said, the PMBOK doesn't really talk to how to improve your communication skills as a person, and communication is crucial as a project manager. And we've all worked with people on our teams that are very good at what they do, and communicating is not one of them. And the PMBOK doesn't really address that. But I think the PM Simplicity document is really giving people a little bit more information on the things that they can do to do a better job as project managers. And one of those would be communicating via the Dale Carnegie information. The other is just managing the number of tasks that you have to do. And that's why I touched on getting things done, GTD. I found that very helpful in my day-to-day work, trying to juggle projects, trying to make sure nothing falls through the cracks. So basically it's pointing people at other tools that they'd find beneficial. So the personal development angle, I think, is a a piece that might be different.
Yeah, I also remember seeing something about Toastmasters in the document, right?
Absolutely. As a project manager, you're going to have to sit there and lead meetings. And if you're not effective as a public speaker, people are going to tune you out. You need to establish credibility and you need to be able to lead meetings. And Toastmasters is a terrific resource for people that want to improve their public speaking skills.
Yeah, just this Tuesday, I walked into the PMI Orange County dinner meeting. And I was chatting with somebody out, just networking. And then the president comes up to me and says, Cornelius, our MC is not here. Would you mind doing the MC tonight for the dinner meeting? So from 1 minute to the next, you're suddenly thrown into this role of, I have to speak in front of 120 people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right. And I've been in Toastmasters and I'm just taking everything that I've learned from there and I'm applying that to both my projects. Obviously, doing my podcasts here, standing in front of my local PMI chapter, so I can follow along with this whole idea of personal growth and self-improvement. That's important. The one thing I have to admit, I know GTD, I know getting things done. I don't really know Dale Carnegie, so that's probably something that I could look into and grow there as well.
Yeah, well, for just basically, he wrote one of the most popular books ever written, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yes,
and,
I've heard of it.
Yeah, basically, it's have a positive approach to people. Don't be negative, don't criticize, look for the win-win. Just some basic, human communication principles that really, if you apply them, you'll find things start happening without a lot of resistance.
One question that I have for you that really, I really like to get to the bottom of this is scalability. The PMBOK guide clearly says, we're this is intended as being a framework for most projects most of the time. Mm-hmm. Right? It's humongous. In my view, yeah, right. For most projects that send people to Mars most of the time is probably more like it. And PM Simplicity, it sounds like, this is just something for small projects. Does it scale to medium projects? Does it scale to large projects? Have you used it in all these various sizes?
I actually have, and that's probably why I felt like it was something worth sharing, because my experience is usually with the small to medium projects, but I had been called to manage a large project which involved different functions: HR, legal, IT, and basically, if you call them silos, you have these silos of information, and historically there was not a lot of cooperation between them. And I basically applied these same principles in managing the project, and it was a complex project. Basically, it had to do with ID provisioning across the organization and standardizing some of the processes around removing access from employees when they leave. I have to say, the confidence level going into the project was relatively low among all the players, because historically we didn't have that level of cooperation across those silos. But upon delivering the project successfully, it made me realize that it's basically very simple to deliver a project that can accomplish a pretty large task as long as you focus on the people element, the communication piece, keeping everybody involved, making sure that the scope is clearly defined, and making sure that everybody is communicated to throughout the project. And so that after working on that relatively large project and realizing that it worked, that's what gave me the impetus to put it to paper.
Mm-hmm. Has anyone other than you been using this approach?
Well, as I said, I've coached a few people on this, and the feedback I've gotten is positive. To be honest, I'm not sure if people are using it on a day-to-day basis. I'd love to hear from readers and find out that they've applied it and it's worked for them. And I'd also like to hear any feedback, what I might need to add.
Right. That would be another question. Any ideas where you are going to want to take this? I mean, you're obviously giving this away for free at the moment and people can just download it. Is this something that you're planning to turn into a almost want to say a commercial methodology, or be it an open source methodology for that matter?
I'm a firm believer in open source, and At this point, I don't really have any plans on monetizing this or, making it into a paid product. I just wanted to share my experiences and help the community and try to encourage people. I'm a firm believer in that power shared is power earned. So.
Excellent. And of course, that means that if you want feedback, if you want people to use it, then people have to find it. So where would our listeners have to go in order to find more information and get to download your document and try it out?
All you have to do is go to pmsimplicity.com and download a copy, and feel free to share any feedback. As I said, I am keen on updating the document.
And of course, that would mean if you get any feedback, we want to have you back here on the program and hear what kind of results that people have had with PM Simplicity. Great. Sean, thank you so much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. And of course, we are going to have a link to pmsimplicity.com in our show notes so that people can find it very easily. Thank you.
Terrific. Thanks for having me.
And that was our interview with Sean Enriquez on PM Simplicity. That's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. Do you use Facebook? Well, so does the Project Management Podcast. We have a Facebook fan page at facebook.com/PM Podcast. Please feel free to join and let all your friends know about how much you value this show. As always, you can find us on the web at pm-podcast.com. If you are a PMP or a PGMP and you are looking for a simple and effective way to earn your PDUs, then try the PDU podcast. Get a new webinar and at least one new PDU every month on autopilot, fully automatically and reliably. Stop by at pducast.com. That's pducast.com. Please send your emails to info@pm-podcast.com. And when you write, please tell me where in the world you are writing from. And finally, we have this. If you can interpret project status data in several different ways, then only the most painful interpretation is the correct interpretation. Until next time.